Have you ever had her say she's fine and felt something tighten in your chest, even though she smiled like everything was normal? Because here's the unsettling truth. Fine is rarely fine. Not when she's measuring you in silence, gauging how much attention, energy, and presence you're actually willing to give. It's a subtle withdrawal, a slow pullback that begins long before she stops speaking to you, or before she even lets herself admit it out loud. And the thing most men miss is that this quiet distance isn't about you failing yet. It's about her testing you, to see if you notice, to see if you respond, to see if you can catch the invisible shift before it's too late. Reason 1. I'm fine. That phrase isn't a reassurance. It's a warning disguised as comfort. Emotional distance has started. The warmth, the subtle engagement you took for granted, is being measured against your awareness. If you accept the words at face value, she interprets it as low sensitivity, low awareness, even low self-respect. She doesn't argue. She doesn't escalate. She observes. And over time, her engagement slowly fades, not out of malice, but because she knows the dynamic has already shifted. You didn't see it happen. You only feel it later. Here's the moment most men let it slide. She's testing your radar. The question isn't whether she's lying, it's whether you notice the signals she isn't giving. Your reaction reveals your presence. Your lack of reaction reveals your passivity. That quiet space you feel, that's where desire quietly erodes, one overlooked gesture at a time. Reason 2. I don't care about looks. You might have heard that and eased up on yourself. Let your grooming slip, your posture collapse, your style go stale. But don't be fooled. She's not dismissing attraction. She's gauging it. Every small detail, the way you present yourself, the consistency of effort, the attention to yourself, tells her how much you value yourself. Neglect isn't invisible. It communicates comfort in mediocrity. She watches silently, and when standards drop, so does attraction. Because desire isn't sparked by words, it's triggered by presence, energy, and care. This is where men make the silent mistake, believing comfort and acceptance are the same thing. They're not. She accepts your words. She notices your actions. She measures what you show consistently. And if you let yourself go, she doesn't confront you. She adapts. She recalibrates. And somewhere, the subtle thrill she felt diminishes. Reason 3. You're perfect. The praise sounds harmless, even flattering. And yet, here's the dangerous flip. It often freezes growth. Validation isn't always a green light. Sometimes it's a trap. When she tells you you're perfect, she's not encouraging complacency. It's a test to see if you can maintain momentum without external pressure. If you stop evolving, the dynamic begins to flatten. Effort becomes invisible. Desire loses its edge. You think being perfect is enough. She knows that perfect without continued action is predictable, and predictability kills intrigue. Here's the part nobody talks about. Growth isn't just about achievement. It's about presence, about maintaining tension in the right places. It's what keeps her curious, keeps her engaged. When that stops, even admiration becomes a quiet disengagement. Reason 4. I like nice guys. You hear it and relax, thinking kindness is enough. But here's the truth men consistently miss. She doesn't want soft. She wants respect. She wants presence. Niceness without boundaries signals predictability, weakness, a lack of emotional polarity. Desire thrives on tension, on challenge, on the sense that you are choosing yourself as much as you choose her. Over-agreeing, over-available behavior removes that tension. She's not testing your words, she's testing your backbone, your subtle refusal to bend too easily, your capacity to hold standards quietly. Here's the moment most men misunderstand. They interpret comfort as security, when in reality, it is a slow slide toward invisibility. Attraction fades when challenge disappears, polarity disappears, and once that happens, words are meaningless. Reason 5. I don't need anything. Low maintenance sounds simple, doesn't it? Safe. But watch carefully. The claim of independence is a test. She wants to see if you act naturally, if effort arises without prompting. Initiative shows genuine interest. Passivity signals low investment. No one will tell you outright. She measures quietly, with small reactions, subtle shifts, and a mental tally that you can't see. When effort disappears, her expectations quietly recalibrate downward. What she wants remains unspoken, but your attention reveals whether she's willing to stay engaged or not. And this is where most men collapse. They accept comfort at face value. They stop initiating. They assume independence means zero effort. But independence is never zero effort. It's a quiet observation of whether you're present enough to rise to unspoken standards. Reason 6. It doesn't bother me. Another dangerous phrase. It sounds benign, reassuring, but in reality, it's a silent evaluation. She stores patterns. She observes consistency. Delayed reactions are her currency. What isn't addressed isn't always accepted. It's being tested over time. And you don't know it. You feel safe. You lower your guard. But under the surface, her mind is calculating. Every overlooked detail, every small concession, every lack of awareness, it counts against you in ways you can't measure. Here's where the inward flip begins. Because all of this isn't just about her. It's about you, your standards, your awareness, your presence. The lies she tells aren't traps in the traditional sense. They're mirrors. They reflect exactly where you've softened, where you've allowed yourself to shrink, where you've traded vigilance for comfort. And the moment you realize that, you see her behavior differently, not as manipulative, but as a barometer for how far you've let yourself drift. Reason 7. I'm just busy. Time is a test more than anything. People make space for what matters. Delayed replies, less engagement, sudden distance. It's not always what she says, it's what she shows. Busyness becomes the excuse for shifting attention. Priority is revealed in consistency, not words. And when she's quietly reallocating attention, your reaction, or lack of it, is exactly what she's observing. Every hesitation, every ignored pattern, every silent acceptance, she notices. Because attraction is subtle. It lives in awareness, presence, and the unspoken energy you bring, or fail to bring, into her orbit. And here's the uncomfortable truth men avoid. Every lie you've ever believed is not really about deception. It's about your own passivity, your own failure to measure, notice, and respond to signals that were always there. She didn't create the distance. She merely reflected the space you allowed. Every soft reaction, every lowered standard, every missed observation trained her to behave in the ways you later interpreted as untruths. That's the moment most men never see coming. The real shift isn't in her words. It's in your tolerance, in your failure to notice the slow erosion of presence, engagement, and quiet authority. And once you see that, it changes how you look at everything. Not just her words, not just the subtle lies, but the reflection of your own standards in the mirror she holds up. And once that reflection hits, there's no going back. Reason 8. You're overthinking. She says it softly, almost kindly, but it's a test disguised as dismissal. When she says this, she isn't judging your thoughts. She's gauging your awareness. She wants to see if you notice the underlying truth beneath her words. If you react defensively, she sees neediness. If you apologize for caring too much, she sees weakness. And if you ignore the signal completely, she registers your absence. Overthinking isn't the problem. Under-observation is. Every subtle detail ignored reinforces the pattern that she can drift without consequence. Here's the moment most men fail. They take the words literally instead of reading the energy. Attraction doesn't respond to reassurance. It responds to presence, awareness, and quiet dominance of your own standards. Saying, "Stop overthinking," is her way of probing whether you'll maintain your center or collapse into accommodation. And most men collapse. Reason 9. Let's see where it goes. That phrase isn't a promise. It isn't neutral. It's ambiguity designed to test patience, curiosity, and emotional control. She doesn't want clarity yet. She wants to see if you can handle uncertainty without being weak, desperate, or reactive. Every moment you cling, every text you overanalyze, every attempt to force her decision, it diminishes your influence. Desire thrives in tension, in the subtle push and pull of presence and absence. This phrase is her quiet measuring stick. How far will you bend before breaking yourself in half? And this is where it gets darker. I just want honesty. On the surface, it sounds simple, pure, moral. But honesty has a cost, and most men pay it too cheaply. Weak truths, half confessions, or poorly timed candor are punished more than deception. Because she doesn't just measure truth, she measures the energy behind it. Can you hold yourself without apology? Can you deliver the uncomfortable without collapsing? Can you maintain standards while revealing vulnerability? Most men fail this test not through lies, but through weak execution. And the consequences aren't shouted, they're silent. A glance, a pause, a subtle step back. Enough to shift desire without ever explaining why. Here's the inward flip you've been avoiding. All of these so-called lies, these tests, these gentle manipulations, they're actually opportunities. Not to manipulate her back, not to decode her, but to observe yourself, to measure your own standards, to see where you've been shrinking in comfort zones, where you've surrendered presence, and where you've allowed subtle weaknesses to dictate your engagement. The lies aren't the problem. Your response, or lack thereof, is. Reason 10. The final reveal before the hard truth sinks in. Every small lie she tells, every phrase carefully chosen, is a mirror. A reflection of how much you tolerate, how much you compromise, and how much attention you fail to bring. Your tolerance for ambiguity, your failure to maintain boundaries, your inability to notice the slow pullback. These are what she's really responding to. She doesn't need to argue. She doesn't need to escalate. She simply shifts, tests, and observes. And you set the rules without realizing it. And now, the cold reality. She isn't lying to hurt you. She's revealing your own patterns. Every soft acceptance, every lowered standard, every weak boundary. She mirrors it back. The uncomfortable pause, the quiet disappointment, the subtle disengagement. It's all your own doing. She's simply following the path you've paved. If this made you see something you were avoiding, you already know what to do.